Jane Austen's Northanger Abbey, Satire and Romance, Characters, Summary, Analysis. Hello and welcome to the discourse. Northanger Abbey has one of the most unusual publication stories among Jane Austen's novels. It was the first book she finished with the hope of seeing it in print. In 1803, Austen sold the manuscript, then called Susan, to the London publisher Crosby and Co. for £10. The sum was small even for that time, and to Austen's disappointment, the company never published it. For years, the work remained hidden, known only to Austen and her family. By 1809, Austen had grown frustrated. Writing under a pseudonym, she asked Crosby and Co. to either publish the book or return it to her. The company refused, insisting they were not required to print it and warning that she could not publish it elsewhere without facing legal consequences. The manuscript stayed untouched until 1816, when Austen's brother Henry was finally able to buy it back for the same amount originally paid. When Austen revised the novel, she changed the heroine's name from Susan to Catherine and retitled it Northanger Abbey. She also wrote a short author's preface explaining that the novel had been finished in 1803 and defending novels as a valuable form of literature. Austen died in July 1817 at the age of 41 before she could see the work reach readers. Later that year, Northanger Abbey was published together with her final completed novel Persuasion as a four-volume set. This was the first time a title page openly named Jane Austen as the author, helping to secure her place in English literary history. Literary and historical context. A novel about novels. Northanger Abbey stands out as Austen's most playful and self aware novel. It speaks directly to the reading culture of the early 19th century, a time when novels were becoming more popular, especially among young women. Austen comments on this literary world through Catherine Morland, a heroine who adores Gothic fiction, especially Anne Radcliffe's famous novel The Mysteries of Udolpho. Gothic fiction used mysterious castles, secret rooms, and dramatic villains to excite the reader's imagination, while sentimental novels focused on the emotional struggles of a young woman seeking love and virtue. Austen gently mocks both traditions, placing Catherine, a kind but ordinary girl, into a world she hopes will match the dark and thrilling stories she has read. Although the novel is comic and light, it carries traces of England's long religious history. In the 16th century, the English Reformation led King Henry VIII to break from the Catholic Church and seize monastic lands. Many former monasteries were sold or passed to wealthy families and later turned into country estates. Northanger Abbey reflects this history in the figure of General Tilney, who owns an abbey but cares little for its religious past. His changes to the building symbolize the rise of more powerful, wealthy landowning class, often shaped by ambition rather than tradition. Austen does not dwell on this past, but it creates a quiet backdrop of Catherine's Gothic expectations, which are drawn from novels filled with haunted monasteries and tragic nuns. How Northanger Abbey differs from Austen's other works. While the novel includes many themes found in Austen's later books, courtship, class, and social manners, it is lighter and more openly humorous than Pride and Prejudice or Persuasion. Catherine Morland is among Austen's most innocent heroines. Unlike Elizabeth Bennet, who begins her story sharp witted and mature, Catherine is still learning to read the world correctly. Her main journey is not simply finding love, but understanding the difference between novels and real life. Austen uses this theme to defend fiction, suggesting that young women should not be mocked for reading and that novels can offer real insight into character and morality. Northanger Abbey also plays with the idea of storytelling itself. The narrator often speaks directly to the reader, making bold and witty comments about reading habits, social customs, and the fiction market. Because of this, the novel feels more experimental and lively than some of Austen's other works, almost like a conversation between the author and the audience. Characters of Northanger Abbey. The novel features a memorable set of characters who represent different parts of fashionable society. Catherine Morland, the 17-year-old heroine, begins her story as a girl with little experience beyond her home village. She loves reading Gothic novels, and her imagination often turns ordinary moments into thrilling adventures. Henry Tilney, the young clergyman she meets in Bath, is witty, perceptive, and kind. He admires Catherine's honesty and good nature, while also guiding her toward clearer judgment. His sister Eleanor Tilney becomes Catherine's true friend, offering support and quiet confidence. General Tilney, father of Henry and Eleanor, rules his household with stern discipline and a deep concern for wealth and status. His behavior, though not supernatural, becomes one of the real sources of fear in the novel. Isabella Thorpe, Catherine's charming new friend in Bath, appears devoted and affectionate, but her interest in wealth eventually reveals her selfish motives. Her brother, John Thorpe, is boastful, rude, and careless with the truth, causing Catherine great embarrassment and confusion. Summary: Catherine Morland's adventure. Catherine Morland grows up as the eldest daughter of a generous country family. Her life changes when Mr. and Mrs. Allen, wealthy neighbors with no children, invite her to join them on a visit to Bath. Catherine is excited, imagining a world like the stories she reads. But when they arrive, the Allens know no one, and Catherine spends several dull days with little company. Everything changes when she meets Henry Tilney at a public ball. Their conversation is lively and clever, and Catherine is instantly drawn to him. She hopes to see him again, but more time passes before they meet. In the meantime, Catherine forms a close friendship with Isabella Thorpe, who shares her enthusiasm for Gothic fiction. Catherine also meets Isabella's brother John, who shows her unwanted attention and constantly exaggerates his achievements. Growing friendships and misunderstandings. Catherine soon sees Henry again and her affection deepens. Isabella becomes engaged to Catherine's brother James, but hints of greed appear when she learns he has limited income. When Henry's sister Eleanor invites Catherine for a walk, John Thorpe tricks her into abandoning the plan, falsely claiming the Tilneys are absent from town. Catherine later realizes his lie and apologizes to Tilneys, strengthening their friendship. Arrival at Northanger Abbey. Eleanor invites Catherine to visit the family estate Northanger Abbey. Catherine, filled with ideas from Gothic novels, imagines dark secrets and hidden crimes. Henry teases her gently, inventing stories about mysterious rooms and old chests. When Catherine arrives, she is surprised to find that the abbey contains many modern improvements. Still, Catherine's imagination continues to shape her thoughts. She becomes convinced that General Tilney mistreated or even murdered his late wife. She enters Mrs. Tilney's old room, expecting hidden clues, but Henry discovers her and explains that his mother died of illness, not violence. Catherine is ashamed and begins to see the danger of letting fantasy replace judgment. A sudden expulsion and a final resolution. General Tilney soon receives new information and, without warning, sends Catherine away from Northanger Abbey in a cold and humiliating manner. She returns home heartbroken, believing Henry may never care for her again. But 3 days later, Henry arrives at her family home. He explains that John Thorpe had first described Catherine as a wealthy heiress, which pleased the general. In London, however, John changed his story, claiming she had little fortune. Furious, the general acted out of pride and cast her out. Henry defied his father, travelled to Catherine, and proposed marriage. After some delay, the general finally gives his consent, helped by Eleanor's own marriage to a wealthy nobleman. Catherine and Henry marry not because of wealth or social duty, but because of affection, character, and a shared understanding of the world beyond the pages of a Gothic tale. Conclusion: Northanger Abbey is a novel about learning to balance imagination with experience. Through Catherine Morland's mistakes and growth, Austen shows that novels can offer joy and wisdom, but that real life requires patience, empathy, and careful judgment. With its humor, literary playfulness, and gentle moral lessons, the novel remains one of Austen's most delightful and insightful works. So, this is it for today. We will continue to discuss the history of English literature. Please stay connected with the discourse. Thanks and regards.